It is no secret that credit card companies are making billions of dollars a year by exploiting everyday Americans. In 2024 alone, Americans paid a jaw-dropping $170 billion in credit card interest with an average APR exceeding 22%, the highest in history. These sky-high rates leave consumers, especially low-income families, stuck in cycles of debt that they just simply cannot escape. But that's not all. U.S. credit card debt has soared past $1 trillion, and many families are struggling just to keep up with minimum payments. With inflation squeezing budgets, banks wrote off $46 billion in seriously delinquent loans in the first 9 months of 2024, a 50% increase from the previous year and the highest level of default since 2008. So let's take $1,000 credit card debt with a 29.99% APR, a common rate on store-branded cards. If it takes 2 years to pay off that balance, a consumer may spend up to $350 in interest rates alone, paying far more to lenders than what they originally borrowed in the first place. High APRs like this push consumers further into debt rather than helping them climb out of it. And for those without access to traditional credit cards, payday loans are even worse. These short-term loans often have interest rates as high as 661% in states like Texas. Most people can't pay those loans back in time, forcing them to take out additional loans to cover the first loans that they had in the first place. In the end, they pay more in fees than the amount that they originally borrowed, creating a vicious cycle of debt. So incoming President Donald Trump played a key role in supporting these payday lenders. His administration rolled back Obama-era regulations meant to protect consumers from predatory practices. Payday lenders, who donated over $1 million to Trump's inaugural committee, benefited as rules against their exploitative business practices were weakened. The average credit card APR margin, so the portion of interest rates determined by card issuers, is now at 14.3%. Over the last 10 years, issuers raised APR margins by more than 4%, costing consumers billions. For instance, in 2023 alone, this increase added $25 billion to the total interest fees Americans paid. Defaults on credit card loans are also at the highest since the 2008 financial crisis. Many Americans are just simply out of cash. A zero savings rate is becoming the norm for low-income households. While high-income earners may be fine, those at the bottom third are stretched beyond their limits. Senator Bernie Sanders has proposed capping credit card interest rates at like 15%, which could offer some relief. He argues that the current rates exploit working-class families for corporate profit. Sanders also calls for tighter regulations on payday lenders, ending the predatory practices that target vulnerable communities. So the stakes continue to get higher and higher and higher, with more people going into credit card debt to make ends meet. I want to hear from y'all. How has credit card debt and interest rates impacted your everyday life? Yolanda Saldivar, the woman who murdered beloved singer Selena Quintanilla Perez, has officially applied for parole. Saldivar, now 64, serving a life sentence for the 1995 shooting of Selena, who was only 23 years old. Despite her clean prison record, many believe she doesn't deserve a second chance. Selena was a rising star adored by millions for her talent, kindness, and groundbreaking impact on the music world. Her tragic death left fans heartbroken, and her memory continues to inspire people even today. Saldivar was once the president of Selena's fan club, but things took a dark turn when Selena's father discovered that Saldivar had stolen $30,000 from the fan club. Selena met alone with Saldivar at a motel on March 31st, 1995 to recover important financial documents. Instead of returning the papers, Saldivar pulled out a gun and fatally shot Selena. After the shooting, Saldivar barricaded herself in her truck during a 9-hour standoff with the police. She claimed that the shooting was an accident, but evidence told a completely different story. The prosecution revealed that Saldivar did not call 911 or try to save Selena, even though she was a trained nurse. The gun used in the crime required significant force to fire, further disproving her claim of an accident. A jury convicted Saldivar of first-degree murder in October 1995, sentencing her to life in prison with the possibility of parole in 2025. She has remained in protective custody due to threats from other inmates who consider her a target. Carlos Valdez, the prosecutor in Yolanda's trial, told ABC News that there is no evidence that she has changed. He recently stated, "I can tell you that based on what I've seen so far, based on the evidence, based on the interviews that Yolanda has given up to now, I have not seen any indication that she has changed in any way whatsoever." The parole process has begun, but the final decision won't come until 2025. Selena's legacy remains as strong as ever, and many hope that justice for the young star will continue to prevail. As Puerto Ricans prepared to celebrate New Year's, nearly the entire island plunged into darkness early Tuesday when a massive blackout struck. More than 1.3 million homes and businesses lost power, with officials warning it could take up to 2 days to restore electricity. The outage disrupted daily life, leaving those who could afford generators with power. Many residents expressed anger and frustration. Luma Energy, the private company in charge of power transmission and distribution, blamed the blackout on an underground line failure. But many say that outages like this are all too common since Luma took over Puerto Rico's electric grid in 2021, despite promises of improvement. Residents accused Luma of failing to fix the island's energy infrastructure, which was already crumbling before Hurricane Maria in 2017. Blackouts and rising electricity costs have become routine under the private operator. Luma's continued failures are negligence, not just a collections of, oops, my bad. Puerto Rico's reliance on private companies has done little to stabilize its fragile grid. More than 60% of the island's energy still comes from outdated petroleum-based plants, while renewable energy sources like solar account for just 7%, a stark contrast to the island's potential for solar power. As Puerto Ricans grapple with yet another blackout, many are left questioning whether privatized energy companies like Luma are truly serving the public or profiting at their expense.